everybody. Welcome back to Stage 4 and Out the Door. Let me tell you, I posted my first 3 videos this morning on my way to work here. About an hour drive for me to get to one of my offices in Clearfield. And I'm on my way home. It's now the end of the day for me. About an hour drive home, and you know what? It's a good darn time to make some posts. Keeps my trip a little bit exciting. So I'm as of now is December 5th, 2023. I posted up on Facebook and told everybody that my channel was live. So I posted my first 3 videos this morning. Just recorded them and posted them. I don't have anything to edit or do any, pro level work. So I just posted them, and raw is what it is, man. I'm gonna do some more on the way home here. So the first few videos were just kind of some background, my diagnosis, how I was diagnosed, symptoms, just kind of some basic stuff. I talked a little bit about family and friends. I thought now would be a really good time to just kind of dig into treatment and what my treatment looked like. It's quite a long story for those of you that don't know. So again, diagnosed stage 4 colorectal cancer on May 10th of 2021. Went immediately into treatment. So my first round of treatments was, of course, radiation. According to the doctors, I received the maximum dosage of radiation that you can receive. Apparently, you can only receive so much radiation in your body, of course, in any given part of your body. So I am now radiated as much as I can be radiated in my lower, from like my belly button down kind of area. I received radiation every day, Monday through Friday. Went to the Monty Center for that, put you in the machine. Took about, 5-10 minutes tops. They line you up, zip zap you, and then you leave. You have to drink this whole big thing of water. They want your bladder completely full, like bursting at the seams full. This apparently helps with the radiation not hurting your bladder. So that was the radiation treatment. I want to say I did that for 6 or 8 weeks. Again, my wife knows these numbers much better than I do. Having said that, it was, give or take, it was 6 or 8 weeks. Along with that, I started chemo. So before I could get to chemo, I had to have a port put in. A port is I'm not a doctor, so let me turn my heater down. So the medical terms, it's a valve essentially that goes under your skin, about the size of a quarter, maybe a hair smaller. They put it under your skin. It was right here on me. I have 2 little incisions, one when it went in and then one when it came out. But they put the port in, and then they run the line. It goes up into right around your jugular, and then it goes the whole way down inside your chest. And then every day when I got chemo, they essentially plugged that chemo with this tiny little needle into that port, through my skin into that port. And that's what the chemo is delivered into. And that's much better, I got to tell you, than getting an IV every week. It's much less painful. It still was a little bit of a poke, but it was less painful. They delivered the chemo. I went Monday morning, and they hooked up a pump. The name of the chemo was called 5FU, and no, I did not make that up. It is 5FU, and everybody knows what FU means, and that's the way I felt. So I received a pump. It was a pack about the size of maybe, I don't know, maybe 6 or 7 inches tall by 2 or 3, maybe 4 inches wide, and it had chemo, and it delivered chemo into my body 24/7 Monday through Friday. So I would get it installed on Monday. They'd put my port in, tape it all up, and I'd carry this pack around with a big long IV kind of drip line, and it would constantly pump this chemo into me. I would go every day for chemo over to Du Bois. Drove myself over to Du Bois every day, and received Fridays, I went and got the pump removed. So I had the weekends off, essentially, which was good because I didn't have to carry around this thing and worry about the IV line snagging on stuff. It was kind of a bear just to have on you, and you'd have to sleep and you couldn't roll around. It was, imagine being tied to a line, 24/7, with a needle going into your chest. It wasn't the most pleasant thing in the world, but I'm sure it could have been worse. The chemo made me fairly sick. I don't know if it was the chemo or the radiation that hit me the worst. The chemo definitely made me very nauseous, and it's everybody talks about chemo making you sick. Well, they're right, it does. It's not a fun chemical. It kills everything in your body, good stuff and bad. Having said that, it did save my life. So whoever says it's poison, they're right, but it also does work. The radiation caused a slew of problems. I don't know what the technical term is. I can find out and maybe put it below in the post. I was having, for lack of a better word or a better way to describe it, spasms. Essentially, where the tumor was in my colon, my colorectal surgeon explained this to me. It was tightening up, and I was having spasms. And when I say they were painful, I can't describe the pain. My wife would not know what to do. I would be screaming in pain, almost hyperventilating. It was intense. I had these episodes maybe once a week, twice a week if they were bad. And the doctor, the surgeon said that they kind of compare these pains, these spasms, to labor pains. Like they're that intense. They gave me meds for it, but let me tell you something, they didn't work. They lasted for anywhere from a half hour to an hour, and then the rest of the day I was just exhausted from what it went through, what my body went through, the pain, and then I would be sore for a couple days. So the radiation really did set me for a loop. I didn't get any radiation burns. I know a lot of people, I'm on a lot of different forums, and I'm hoping, you guys on these forums that I'm in are watching this. Maybe you can comment to your symptoms with the radiation. I didn't get radiation burns. I know a lot of people do get some burns. I did lose my hair, oddly enough, from my belly button, down into my thighs where the machine would go around me. I lost a good bit of my hair there, but it all grew back. It was fine. But that was the only, visual symptom that I had. Other than that, that was my first round of treatment. So I had chemo and radiation. I want to say 6 or 8 weeks. I feel like it might be 6. My wife would know better than I would. During this time, I drove myself every day. I was scheduled for the first. I was scheduled for the first session every morning because I worked. I went to work every day. I have to provide for the family, and I didn't go on disability. I didn't do any of that stuff. I worked. The company I work for is amazing. They supported me through all this. I would get home from radiation about. I'd be there about 7:30, depending on the day, and got home around, say, 9-10 o'clock at the latest. It was a half-hour drive over and back, so 8:30, 9-10 o'clock at the latest. And then I was pretty sick, and I would usually take the lunch kind of hours to take a nap, take some nausea medicine, and then I would go to work in the afternoon. That was my schedule. The company I work for is very supportive. Justice Works Youth Care, amazing company. I'm a lifer. They really supported me. They're an unbelievable company. I can't talk highly enough about them. Shout out to my regional director. I don't want to say his name, but he, hopefully he's watching this too and knows how grateful I am for him and all the stuff that he blessed me with. So that was my first round of treatments, chemo, radiation. That was, the that was the whole trip. And then we really had to push surgery up a little bit because of the side effects I was having from that radiation and the pain. They did my resection, and so essentially the deal was they had to do the resection, so they had to take the tumor out of the colon with margin, so they take a little more than the tumors there, and they took a bunch of my rectum, and then they took, I want to say 12 or 13 lymph nodes up into my like lower, belt line, stomach area. That surgery was wow, it was intense. So supposed to be a 5-hour surgery, 4 to 5 hours is what the surgeon told my wife. It ended up being, again, I wish my wife was here, probably 7 or 8 hours, I want to say, probably closer to 7, 6 or 7 maybe. I might be exaggerating with 7 or 8. What had happened is because my muscles were so thick, I don't know if that was from the years of bodybuilding, or I just have thick muscles, or I did have my appendix out, maybe there were some lesions in there, some scar tissue. They had a heck of a time getting through my muscles down into my colon area, so the surgeon actually had to call his father-in-law in. His father-in-law is also a general surgeon in Du Bois, to help him with that surgery. But it was successful. They resected everything. He was very confident. The surgery was very long. I did have a handful of complications. I know one was the urologist that was there, because you have to be fully cast. The catheter had pinched, if I remember correctly, and my bladder had filled up to some high number of cc's that your bladder's not supposed to fill up to, which caused me an intense pain when I woke up. I'll get to that in a minute, but to this day I still have problems. If I don't go pee enough and my bladder fills up, it really hurts. So I'm guessing that's something just from all that mess. But the surgery went well. He resected everything. I do remember, days later when I actually started coming to and kind of getting my wits back about me. I remember the doctor saying that's when they downgraded it. They actually diagnosed me at stage 4. And when they sent my lymph nodes out, of course, they send all that stuff out to pathology and they do tests on it. When they sent all that away, the lymph nodes came back negative, if I remember correctly. Again, I wish my wife was here. So they downgraded it from 4 to 3. So stage 3. The tumor did penetrate the colon wall. They watch a spot that's on my liver and a tiny little shadow thing that's on my lungs. And apparently something on one of my kidneys. None of it is a big deal. When I see my oncologist, I see a PA there, and shout out to you if you're watching. You know who you are, man. I love you. You're the best. Not only are you an amazing PA, man, you're a great guy and a good friend. Thank you for everything. But when I talk with him, it's nothing to worry about. They'll keep their eyes on it, I'm sure. That stuff could have been there before, all this mess, especially the spot on the liver. That could have been there from, years and years and years ago. So not too much of stuff to worry about. So the surgery went well. Spent about a week in the hospital, which is normal, 5 days. Had lots of drains. I don't know, probably 4 or 5 holes in my belly, 6 holes in my belly from all the drains and the incision holes, and then the big hole down below where they took everything out. And I woke up with an ileostomy bag. If you don't know what an ileostomy bag is, hold on, because this is total crap, and no pun intended. Ileostomy bag is essentially they cut your colon in 2. One end goes to your butt. Okay, they left it open. There was nothing attached. The other end, literally, they put a hole in your belly. In my case, it was my lower right side. They pull your intestines through it, fold it over, makes it look like a rosebud, and then they put a bag over it, and that's what you poop into. The fun part about that is there's no, again, this is unfiltered, guys. You're gonna hear it. You don't have a butthole there. Okay, and when you have to go poop and you go, oh, I'm gonna hold that poop because I'm in the middle of an important meeting or a phone call or I'm on whatever, you have an anal sphincter that you tighten. Well, when your intestines intestines are hanging out your belly, you don't have anything to tighten. So when your body has to poop, it poops. It doesn't care if you're in an important meeting or on the phone or whatever you're doing. If it's farting or pooping, it's going to do its deal. So that's what it did. I don't know how better to explain that to you. I had the bag for, I don't know how long. It was supposed to be a certain amount of time. Again, I had complications. I had basically a blockage. I believe they call it an ileus. And I ended up in the ER a couple times. And they put a tube inside there, basically hanging out of my belly. And it was supposed to help, get air inside there and relieve these blockages. And it would push out, and my wife and I would have to push it back in. It was super gross. I also ended up back in the hospital, I want to say almost another full week. So for my first surgery, I was in the hospital almost 2 full weeks. Just that second week was all complications with the ileus. Ended up at the ER. They put an NG tube in to drain my stomach. And I do have pictures of all these. Maybe I will, maybe I'll post them up. Some of the ones that aren't as graphic. But I did document everything just because, honestly, I thought if I died, my wife would have a running document of what I went through. And, I don't know why I thought that was important at the time I did, but I do have pictures of just about everything. But having said that, I went through, home health came in weekly, or maybe it was just shy of once a week, to change the bag and the dressing, which was horrible because it hurt, and to see this was really gross, and it was very tender, and there's a lot of stuff to go with the ileostomies. I know that the permanent bags aren't as hard to take care of as these ones are, but this was supposed to be a temporary deal. So I did my time with the bag. I got a little more used to it as time went on, but at the end of the day, it was total hell with that bag. It was painful. You couldn't roll over on your stomach. You couldn't really shower and get a lot of water on it. It was difficult. But it was time to get the reversal. So here's a good story for you. My surgeon, amazing guy, love him to death, saved my life. All my doctors were super great. I'm going to try to talk about all of them. My colorectal surgery, he was based out of a hospital about an hour and a half away, and he came into Du Bois to do his surgeries. He got stuck out of the country, something to do with a visa, and he was in Canada, and blah, 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 blah. So he couldn't do my reversal. But his father-in-law, the one that was called in originally to help out with my reversal, he did the reversal, or to help out with my resection, he did the reversal. Really brilliant surgeon. Definitely the boss in the hospital. Strong personality, but phenomenal surgeon. Ridiculously great. He did the reversal. It went great. Again, spent about 4 to 5 days in the hospital, which was expected. Had some dressings to be removed and stuff in the hospital, which was really fun. But the reversal was done, and I went home. Now, complications after that, there were many. The biggest one was C. diff. If you do not know what C. diff is, good. C. diff is, again, no holds barred here, guys. This is the real deal. You're going to hear it all. C. diff is diarrhea times 1,000. And everything that you get with diarrhea times it by 1,000. Frequency, urgency, amount, smell, whatever you want to think about, times it, because it's gross. C. diff actually will kill you if in an elderly person or a person with other underlying conditions. It's nasty. I had it 3 times. Ended up in the ER a couple times. One time I was over the Thanksgiving night. My wife had to take me to the ER. Family was at our house. I'm sorry, everybody. That did happen. It was a really crappy time. sat there for several hours, and then they gave me this infusion, and that seemed to knock it out for the last time. The only thing with C. diff when you've had it like that is I can never have an antibiotic again. Something to do with antibiotics, and they unbalance your gut, and that's what will bring the C. diff back. I can only have one kind of antibiotic, and that's vancomycin. And vancomycin is actually the antibiotic they treat C. diff with. But that's the only one I can ever have again. So any reason I would need an antibiotic, if it were like a life and death situation that I needed it, I'm gonna get C. diff again. So that's a thing that I'll talk about a little more, because with some surgeries I've had since then, they've had to give me antibiotics, and it had to be vancomycin. But anyway, so the reversal happened. I healed up. It was a big, huge incision where that ileostomy bag was, so that took a little bit of healing. And then I started my second round of chemo. Second round of chemo was so my first round I had radiation and one kind of chemo, it was the 5FU. The second round of chemo was 5FU, and I can't think of the other chemo, some steroid stuff, some Benadryl. There was a bunch of bags that I had to go every Monday again, and I spent several hours there. I called it the chemo corral. You know, if you go in and there's these chairs are all lined up around this big, huge room, and they hook you up, and you get to sit in a chair, and there's a little TV, and they bring you food, and you sit there all day, and you get your chemo. So I would go every Monday. I would get the full dose of that chemo, and then I would take the pump home again for the rest of the week, and they would deliver that 5FU back in me again. This time there was no radiation. Sorry, driving here. This time there was no radiation. It was just that more intense chemo. And I believe, again, that was either 6 or 8 weeks. My gut's telling me it was 6 weeks. That round of chemo made me extremely sick. I lost a pile of weight. I was already down in weight. I usually run about 225, just normal, just me. I was down in the 180s somewhere. I look back at pictures, and my skin was like hanging off my arms, and everything was kind of flabby. I really looked sick. If you see somebody, you're like, oh, they must be sick. That's the look I had. So throughout that chemo, definitely took a toll on me. My hair got thin. I was sick all the time. No energy at all. I'd fall asleep, after work. Before bed, I'd be sleeping on the couch. No strength, no energy. It was rough, But surprisingly, everything went well. My blood draws were all coming back good. No evidence of any, metastatic cancer. I did have, a couple scans during that time, and everything was coming back good. So everything was looking positive. So again, going back to some of my other videos, the depression was starting to ease up. I definitely saw an end to this mess. My family had taken a huge hit. My daughter and wife were very tired. They were tired of me being sick. They were tired of seeing me like that and dealing with it. It was rough. It was rough on everybody, not just me. My daughter, I feel like she took the brunt of it. Just as simply an aspect of not understanding what was going on. My wife, man, I gotta tell you guys, she, baby, I love you, man. You took this family over. She did everything. She cooked, cleaned, got firewood. I couldn't do anything. She did it all. You ever want to know if somebody loves you, see how they step up when shit hits the fan, because she did. She kept this whole family together. She was, I was not a positive guy the whole time. I definitely was going through the emotions, and she kicked my ass. Sometimes I wanted to bunk her in the head, but She kept me eating and drinking because I was not hungry. I was sick. She kicked my ass. But I don't know. Without her, I really don't know if I would have come out of this in the same way, or maybe I wouldn't have came out of it. I don't know. But I love her so much for that. I will never be able to repay her for all that. And my daughter, too, she's a really good reason as to why I pulled through this was because of my family, my wife and my daughter. If you're going through this and you're in the middle of this and let's say your surgery's coming up, or you just got done with your surgery and you still have some chemo left, having that support if you don't have that support, let's talk, because that's rough. There's so much, and physically I could barely do anything. I can't imagine running a household, whether I be single or not, without someone around. So if you don't have that, let's talk. Let me help you out. Maybe I can help you out with some supports. There's a lot of resources out there for help. But so anyway, chemo was, so let's go back. Almost a year to the day. I was diagnosed on May 10th, the day before my birthday of 2021. My last chemo after radiation, chemo, 2 surgeries, and chemo again. My last chemo, I rang the bell, and I have a picture of it, and I'll post it up. My last chemo was on May 11th, my birthday, 2022. So, what a birthday gift. Unfortunately, my wife had to work, and she couldn't be with me there that day, but I did ring the bell, and the nurses there, who are all phenomenal in the Hawney Center, these nurses that do oncology and these oncology departments, takes a special kind of person. They a lot of the people in there are not in a good place, and they're just wonderful. They rang the bell and they gave me a little brownie as a birthday cake, and it was a really special time. And I got my pump off, and then shortly after that, I'd say maybe a month or two, it wasn't too long, the PA that I saw over at Al Cass's office, he said, let's get your port out. So they pulled my port out, which was another kind of positive thing, because that meant that he was confident that I didn't need to have it anymore because my treatments were done. So that made me feel pretty good, thinking, hey, maybe I am done with this for a while at least anyway, right? So that's it, guys. I'm going to talk a little more what happened after that in a different video, because we're already up to like 28 minutes here. It looks like 26, 28 minutes. It was a trip. It was a long journey. It was difficult. It was full of sickness and pain and depression, but you know what? It was also full of positive people, and people helping, and people telling me it was going to be okay, and my wife and daughter keeping me going every day, and my company backing me up, and friends checking on me and offering help. They had a food chain at the church that we belonged to help my wife out because I was in the hospital so much, so she didn't have to cook every night while I was in there for those the 2 surgeries. A lot of really amazing things happened that we were blessed to have part of our lives. A lot of friends and family really showed their support, and that is I'm blessed to be part of that. It was rough, but it was eased by knowing that people were there to help. So thank you, everybody. I'm not sure I can thank you enough. I really can't. So that was my kind of surgery treatments and surgery path. Please make some comments, subscribe. Let me know how your journey's going. Let me know what chemos that you've had and your side effects. I'm very interested in that. I'm curious to know why they picked those specific chemos for me, with the 5FU, and I can't remember the other one. I'll post it up if I remember it. I'm just kind of curious. I'm curious as to, is it my anatomy that made them decide on those chemos, or is it that's just what these doctors liked, or with colorectal, or those are the ones that work best? So let me know what you think. Let me know what you had.